Let's take the prayer. Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us, you have been for our ancestors. We very humbly acknowledge you. What are we? What is our life?
You have done such great kindness to us.
Therefore, we place our appeals before you, so that you may forgive and absolve us of all our faults and failings. Our faults never become
barriers between us and you.
And may it be your desire to prepare our hearts
to feel
awe and love for you. May you listen to these words of ours, and may you open our encumbered hearts to the mysteries of your Torah. May this, our study,
be a source of
pleasure before your throne of glory, like sweet incense. You shower down upon us the light of our soul's source, and all the ways by which we define ourselves. May the sparks of your holy servants, through whom you have revealed these words to the world, shine and sparkle. May their merit, their ancestors' merit of their Torah, their innocence
and their holiness,
stand for us to prevent us from stumbling
when we study these words.
In their merit, may our lives be
illuminated by what we study. As in the saying of the sweet singer of Israel,
open my eyes
that I may gaze into wonders of your Torah.
May the words of my mouth
and the thoughts of my heart
be acceptable to
you, my rock and my redeemer. For it is the eternal who grants wisdom. It's from the eternal mouth that knowledge and understanding issue forth.
Na 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 na. Oh na na na. Na 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 na. Oh na na na. Na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh na na na. Na 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 na. Oh na na na. Na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na na. Oh na 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 na. Oh na na na. no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no. Oh no 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 no.
Na
Oh no 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 no. Okay, we're on page 379. And I just want to look again at the beginning of that page, the top of that page, where we have this concept of the mountains of spices and the mountains of separation. The overall topic is how to map out for ourselves the significance of all of Jacob's children, all Jacob's sons, his 12 sons, and in what sense do they have this kind of divine significance, and how do they participate in the unfolding of the divine energies that then come into this world and need to be effectuated by us, the children of Jacob, Bnei Yisrael. So we have this idea of the mountains of spices, and then the mountains of separation. Okay, so the mountains of spices are the powers, the impressive forces that are various aspects of the divine, but they mingle together. They are one. They are all part of the mystery of the one. And even though we can give a name, Chesed, Gvura, we can give separate names, in the end, they're all part of one mixed, sweet fragrance. And the 12 tribes of Israel are understood to be the unfolding of the 6 lower aspects of the 6 lower children of Binah, of the upper mother, who is Leah. She had 6 sons, but they are mirrored by the other 6 sons. So together they make the 12, and we've had already a number of times, and it goes back into ancient texts, this idea of all the totality of space, the totality of reality ends up somehow being able to be mapped out into 12 directions, 6 directions, and then 12 directions, 6, right? North, south, east, west, up and down, and then the intermediates between them, northeast, southwest, etc., etc. These are the 12 diagonal forces that radiate out to make all of the expanse of reality. So 12 of these spokes of reality, 12 tribes of Israel. A coincidence? Absolutely not. So, however, that radiating doesn't stay within the divine. It radiates out and creates a world. So the world is our world. And our world is not a world of communion, of unification, where everything is actually all connected and not even connected, because connected already sounds like 2 different things, but they're connected. The oneness of God in the end is one, right? As it says in many other places, Rambam, but both philosophically and Kabbalistically, it's a oneness that has nothing to do with what we consider one. When we think about one, we think about one in 1, 2, 3, 1 leads to 2, or 1 is not 2. One in our vocabulary is always connected to multiplicity. The oneness of God is not. But in this faint echo of divinity, which is our world, the whole point is the creation of something that is not totally subsumed into oneness. And then the job of the world is to create relationships, to create connections, right? The essence of the Torah, right? V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your fellow as yourself. Klal gadol b'Torah. This is the great over general theory of Torah, right? Klal gadol, right? Like in physics, this is the unifying theory, right? Is that there's somebody who's not me, and nevertheless I love them like me. So this is to recognize difference and then to try to overcome the barriers between the different. Going back to the Musar question, right? This is the Musar is like practical oriented workshops of how do you actually do that. And this kind of Kabbalistic thinking is the big meta theory, so to speak, about why it's important to do it, or what it is that we're accomplishing besides the justice and besides the feeding the hungry and so on. What is the overall thing that's happening? So the mountains of separations, Harei Bater, we talked about again, like Brit Ben Habitarim, cutting, separating, splitting, and then bringing things together to see that even though they're separate, they're connected. Even though we are different, that we nevertheless can be unified together. And the first difference is we're not God, right? We now, of course, in some kind of profound way, we are God. We are a piece of God, but we're not God, right? We shouldn't get too full of ourselves. And that's one of the dangers of spiritualized thinking, is that once we start, trying to affirm connections, we end up losing the humility that we need to have. And humility is related to separation. It's related to judging oneself as not being some false, aggrandized entity, and recognizing that there are other entities in the world that may be greater, that may be better, or that may be in greater need, and so on. So the humility is super important, right? So humility is what is the quality that makes Moses the vehicle, the vessel for the Torah. And that's related a little bit to the Kabbalistic, not a little bit, to the Kabbalistic concept of tzimtzum. Right? Tzimtzum is withdrawal. Creation was made possible by the withdrawal, by the concentrating, the making small, so to speak, of God to make room for something else, to make room for something other. And that, so separation is not simply the tragedy of this world, it's the ground for the very possibility of this world, is that this is a world of separation. Every totalitarian regime tries to destroy separation, and it tries to destroy real connection. Right? It tries to destroy the individual. Right? That's the separation that it can't tolerate. It tries to subsume and squash every individual into a phony collective unity, right? And it also wants to destroy real connections that people make between themselves. They destroy the family. They destroy groups. that are dedicated to an idea, because they can't tolerate the real work of individuation and then relation. Right? It's a cruel and desperate flight from what the world is really all about. So that's the mountains of separation. We live in the mountains of separation, and we're suffering in real time right now. We're suffering, with the failures of people not being able to negotiate separation in a constructive way. We're on a global level, on a society level, on a national level, on an interpersonal level. We're in a very, very tough place these days because we don't know how to handle separation in a way that's positive. All right, so back to this. So we have the same now problem within the agglomeration of the 12 children of Jacob, of Israel, because we've already been able to assign Leah her privileged place, Rachel her privileged place, right? Together, their children constitute 8 children of Jacob. But then there are 4 other children of Jacob, 4 other sons who come from the maidservants, who come from Bilhah and Zilpah. And we had this struggle already before in the notes. It keeps saying, go look at page 360, go look at page 360. So we did this, a bunch of pages back, where the Zohar struggles with how to conceive of a unified picture of all 12 sons of Jacob when 4 of them are not coming out of what the Zohar recognizes as the special wombs that create their special standing. What do we do about that? So here we have, within this whole question is already separation. How seriously do we separate the 4 sons of the maidservants from their brothers? So in last week, right? It was last week, last Shabbos, we had in the Torah reading, at the very beginning of the Torah reading, when we begin the story of Joseph and his brothers. So Joseph, of course, is this other problematic issue with him and Benjamin. The Zohar has a problem about that also. They both come from Rachel, and yet somehow or other there's a big of a question, and we're going to have it coming up even tonight, I promise. But what do we have? We have Joseph hangs out with the sons of the maidservants, right? If you look at the beginning of the parsha, Vayeshev, right? So it says V'hu na'ar et b'nei V'hu nar et b'nei Bilhah et b'nei Zilpah. This is the second verse of Vayeshev. Jacob lived in the land of the dwellings of his ancestors in Canaan, the land of Canaan. Ela toldot Yaakov. This is the story now about Jacob. Yosef ben 17 shana haya ro'eh et echav batzon. Joseph was 17 years old, and he would be a shepherd along with his brothers as they were taking care of the flocks of sheep. V'hu na'ar et b'nei Bilhah et b'nei Zilpah she'aviv. And he was a young lad hanging out with specifically the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, the maidservants. Right? So, and we know, of course, as the story develops, that his brothers can't stand him, and there's no differentiation actually there between the brothers of Leah and the brothers of the maidservants. They all can't stand him. But nevertheless, he's seeking out specifically, according to the Torah, those sons. So already in the Torah, we have this kind of like noticing that they're not quite one big, harmonious group. There's a little bit of a pecking order, perhaps, or whatever is going on. There's a differentiation. So the Zohar has this question: how do we view those other sons? So Rabbi Yesa. Okay, that's what we're going to start from. And is anybody going to read tonight by any chance? Is anybody going to read the text for us out loud?
Rabbi Yesa said.
Boy, what happened to raising your hand?
Did I have to? Does this come as this big surprise?
No, go ahead. Thank you.
Rabbi Yesa said, sons of the maids joined joints essential for a rail. Rabbi Zohar said, therefore, those joints protrude, though all are one. From here on, all are one in a straight line. So all those tribes ascend in testimony above, as is written. They are tribes ascend, tribes of Yah, a testimony to Israel, to praise the name of Yud-Heh Vav-Heh.
Right. So the body of Israel is understood to be this unified, smooth, perfect, beautiful body, if we conceive of, in that kind of like anthropomorphic way. And there are four sons who stick out, right? Who stick out. So they are the elbows and the knees, right? If we wouldn't have those joints, if we just would have like think of a sculpture of a very simple, basic kind of geometric way of conceiving of the body, the head, the torso, the arms, the legs, without, you don't put in the elbows and the knees, right? The legs are just a straight line. The hands are a straight line. Everything is just straight, all one of one piece. But these four sons, you can't do anything about it. We notice that they're a little bit off. They're a little bit different. So the imagery that we have here is they are those joints. And we had it already back on 360. What do we do with these joints? How do we conceive of them? Do they mess up the aesthetics and the spiritual sense of wholeness of the body? Are they awkward? So the answer is no, they are meant to be brought back inside. And this is the image that we had already again before, the 12 oxen that supported the basin of water in the temple, the Yam Shel Shlomo, the water that in Solomon's temple, where the priests would purify themselves in order to serve God in the temple. This big gigantic basin was supported by 12 sculpted oxen. And the 12 sculpted oxen faced outward and their hindquarters faced inward. And for the Zohar, this is very important because outside is bad and inside is good, right? It's like in spirituality, right? To be inside, to be the inner truth. The inner truth is always better than the outer truth, right? The inner is the essential, the heart is inside. The Holy of Holies is inside the temple. Inside is good, outside is the outside world, the world of separation, the world where everything falls apart. So bringing everything in is very important. So that's part of the problem with the joints. The joints can poke out this way, right? How do you give somebody a push to get out of your way? That's what the elbow is really good for. Knee somebody. So these joints have the potential for being used in a kind of a negative way. So the Zohar says, no, but just like the oxen, their hindquarters, which are the part that is not appropriate for us to see in the temple, they're hidden because they're all in the part of their, they face outward, so you can't see their tuchus. You can't see their hindquarters. So the hindquarters are brought in. They're brought in, they're more modestly treated. And these four brothers, the same thing. They're joints. They're a little bit distinguished from that kind of like smooth gestalt of the rest of the brothers, but they have been brought in. They've been tamed, and they have been consolidated within the holiness of the entire body of Israel. So therefore, they're all one. They can be then connected. The separation is overcome. The connection is made, and then the ascent on high to be able to praise God is possible. So we're able to incorporate the four sons into the 12. Okay. Comments before we go to the next part? Next.
Rabbi Elazar continued, when Rachel had given birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way so I may go to my place and my land. What prompted Jacob to set out on his way when Joseph was born, whereas before he didn't want to? He saw, as they have established, that Esau's adversary had been born.
Okay, so the verse tells us that as soon as Jacob sees that Joseph is born, that Rachel has a son, he then goes to his father-in-law and says, I'm out of here. Let me go. So the Zohar's question is, what's the connection? Why is it specifically after Joseph is born that Jacob wants to leave? Why didn't he want to leave before? Or why isn't he willing to wait longer? So the answer that the Zohar gives here is that Joseph, he understood that the Joseph needed to be born before he could leave, because Joseph is Esau's adversary. Without Joseph, Jacob will not be able to meet Esau as he does subsequently, right? And that's a very fraught encounter. He's scared out of his mind when he meets Esau, but he could not possibly think of meeting Esau without Joseph being born. Joseph is Esau's adversary. You know what the word for adversary is? Satan, right? So Joseph, this is the striking phrase that's used, is Satane de Esau. Joseph is Esau's Satan. And if you look in the note, for instance, it says that this is, of course, the in Ovadia, we read that Haftorah a couple of weeks ago, and that Haftorah says there it is. Joseph is going to be the flame, and Esau is going to be the straw, and Joseph is going to be the vehicle to destroy Esau in the end of days. So this is Joseph's role. And of course, Esau is understood again and again. We've discussed this in various ways. Esau is, of course, evil, the forces of evil. And Joseph is the antidote, the anti Esau, right? Instead of Antichrist, he's the anti-Esau. And therefore, Jacob now he's equipped with the wherewithal to fight Esau because he has Joseph. Why is Joseph Esau's adversary? Why specifically Joseph? Of course, all of us have to be adversaries of evil. All of us have to be have to fight evil and counter evil and create good instead. Why is Joseph the one who stands for this? So Joseph is called Yosef HaTzadik. Right? Joseph is the one who is the exemplification of the righteous person. We had before that Yisachar is the exemplification of the person who studies Torah with great devotion. So this is now a different point. This is a much more fundamental point in the Zohar. Yisachar is a minor character in the overall pictures of the Zohar, but Yosef is major, right? Yosef is Yesod and Yosef is Tzaddik. Yosef is the righteous one and Yosef is foundation. Yosef is the foundation of the world. What does it mean that Yosef is the foundation of the world? So the foundation is the principle of connectivity. What I was saying before about that we live in a world of separation, and the world of separation, if it's allowed to proceed in its own way, will just destroy itself. Right? We say, pray for the well-being of the authorities, because without some kind of order in the world, each person would swallow up their fellow. Right? It would be chaos. It's kind of like a Hobbesian vision of things. Joseph is the Yesod, the foundation of the world, because the foundation is a pillar. The foundation is the phallic symbol. Joseph is the one who resists the blandishments of Potiphar's wife in the name of God, because he says proper connection is what it's all about. Improper connection is wrong. Improper connection may be tempting, but I will resist that temptation in the name of God. So Joseph binds the pillar of the world, is the pillar that connects like Jacob's ladder. The pillar is the element that connects the upper world and the lower world. The pillar is the element that makes the world of unity influence the world of separation. The tzaddik is the person who knows how to create connections that are just, that are correct, that are appropriate, that are loving in a way that is not transgressive, that is not going to tear things down, but will only solidify and bring things together. Yosef, Yesod, is the connecting member with Shekhinah. Yosef is the one who makes it possible for the divine lover, the male divine lover, to unite with the female divine lover. So Yosef is connection, righteous connection. And therefore he's the total antithesis of Esav, because Esav is the principle of evil. The principle of evil is destruction, is to separate in the ways that I was talking about before. So this is Joseph's job. This is what Joseph stands for. And of course, in that sense, all of us have to be little mini Josephs. Okay, any comments? Now, boy, okay, good. Look at that. It's all clear and one. Come and see.
Come and see. Joseph completed his realm with his sight, thereby attaining the righteous one. Here,
Title, right? The title, righteous one.
sorry, thereby containing the title righteous one. Here, consummation of the body. Once Joseph saw the body completed, he wanted to go on his way. He is consumption of the body.
Consummation.
He is consummation of the body, yet even so, Benjamin completed the count completing 12.
Right. So this is now the paradox that we have about Benjamin and Joseph. Benjamin and Joseph are both the children of Rachel, and yet they are not equivalent. And the problem is that once we have Joseph assigned the spot of the righteous one, there's no room for Benjamin in the divine array. There is no more room. We used up all the good stuff. We used up all of the divine labels for all of for the sons of Jacob. We talked about this. We saw it before. Again, go back to around page 360. Benjamin is the righteous one, but not in the same sense as Joseph. Does anybody remember what the distinction? They're connected and yet they're separate. A theme. I think I'm discerning a motif here.
It's a following in time. Joseph ends at a certain point and Benjamin picks up.
Well, let's not, okay, time, but there's a grander, a greater, more essential difference. It's not just about who comes first. For the Zohar, we had it before. Joseph is the righteous one in the upper world. Benjamin is the righteous one in the lower world. So right, Joseph is the righteous one in the divine realm of union. He is the consummation of the divine body. So even though he is Joseph, flesh and blood, and the consummation of the body means that he uses his body properly, and he doesn't use his body to be in places that he shouldn't be. He doesn't engage his body, indulge his body in sinful behavior. He's a tzaddik, he's righteous, but all of that is simply our looking through a lens to see what God is all about. Benjamin does not qualify to be an instantiation of a godly force. Benjamin is not part of the divine body. Benjamin is Benjamin. Benjamin is flesh and blood like us. But Benjamin is the righteous person in this world. Benjamin is all of us trying to be good people, trying to do the right thing, trying to make the connections in the right way. So knowing our place, that's Benjamin's role. And that's the mystery of Benjamin within the children of Israel. In a certain sense, Benjamin is the true child of Rachel. Because within the divine body, who is Rachel? What? Malchut or Shekhinah, right? That's the term that we can relate to a little bit more directly. She is the feminine agent of God who gives birth to the rest of the world. She is the one who interacts with the world, the part of God, the piece of God. I'm saying everything here in a very, very coarse way. She's the piece of God that we have a grip on. She's the piece of, if we can. She is the part of God that keeps on being in touch with the world. She brings the world into being. She sustains the world. She judges the world. She is the active divine intervener in the world. So she is the part of God, and in terms of that, the male lover versus the female lover is all of these, aspects of God, and then there's her. Right? All of them have some positive energy that defines them, and then she is the recipient, right? Her positive energy doesn't reflect back as God. Her positive energy is to create this lower world. Benjamin is part of the 12. So, and she, of course, is part of the godly array. Benjamin is part of the God of the 12, but Benjamin is a lower instantiation of these forces in this world. The child of Rachel, literally. Right? She is the child of Rachel as the product of the divine energies to produce a non-divine realm. Is it any coincidence that in giving birth to Benjamin, Rachel dies? Right? Rachel dies in childbirth to Benjamin because that's it. Now the outside world has been given life. Right? That's Benjamin. So Benjamin is both connected to the others. He finishes off the fullness of what the children of Israel are meant to represent. So it's the divine grandeur, and then coming into the muck of this world. A world which is a world of mortality, a world of frailty, a world of all the problems that all of us know about. Okay, Larry, you wanted to say something?
Well, I make little notes on the chart, and I wrote Benjamin as part of Malchut. Maybe at some point Benjamin was identified as Malchut. It's not true.
No, that's the distinction that the Zohar is trying to create, of saying, no, Benjamin is in the lower realm. Benjamin is not on that diagram. Benjamin is the offspring of that diagram.
Another question is this. I believe you answered this maybe 10 times ago, but why are there are 12 tribes, but only 10 sfirot? It doesn't correspond. Could you just go over that again?
So let's not get too hung up on that kind of stuff. There's an almost a bigger problem. There's a long literature about it. How many attributes of God are there?
13.
Why not 10?
Oh, okay.
Right? So this is like a big, gigantic struggle. How do we map out the 13 attributes of God with the 10 attributes of God? You know, if you want to call the Sfirot attributes, you know, how do you slice and dice this stuff?
Right.
You know, so these are, you know, and so there are different ways of thinking about it, and different ways of mapping it out. This is in this particular realm, and then it, you know, the Idrot talk about this. This is one of the great mysteries that the Zohar has in the section called the Idra Rabbah. So the 13 attributes of that are the essential qualities of God. So there are 13, and then it ends up somehow distilling into 10, right? The 12 that we're talking about here are from a different angle also, right? That's what I was trying to say about the expansiveness. If the 10 are within the divine bubble, 12 is a way of talking about radiation, right? The 10 are not necessarily a principle of radiation, right? The 12 is the principle of going out, spreading out to create a world. So that's as much as I'm going to say right now.
Rabbi?
Yes, Rich.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, how does Joseph go from being a bit of a bratty kid, I think, to use some of your own words, in the earlier parts of the Torah, to almost instantly being a tzaddik?
So it's not almost instantly. I mean, if we follow the story in the Torah, that's part of the greatness of that story. That story is really about, before we get into Kabbalah or anything like that, it is the story of the growth and transformation of one particular human being, and then their interactions with everybody else. He learns and he changes, and by the time he gets to being the tzaddik, he has gone through being thrown into the pit. He's
But
gone
that-
through. He's gone through the experience of being wrenched from his family, of being sold into slavery, of being put in the dungeon again after so he's slowly changing, and his transformation that the Torah presents to us is a transformation from a person who's totally oblivious to others and totally self-centered to a person who becomes very, very exquisitely sensitive to others. That's his transformation. So
Okay.
just on a human level, it's very moving, and it's very it's very important for us to to take note of that. For the Zohar, that becomes it's just like hyped up into that kind of spiritual and divine realm where that is his potential is finally realized as the one who can connect to people. When he tells the dreams to his brothers, he thinks he's connecting, but he's not connecting. He's separating, right? He's making them all hate him, right? The most essential quality of connection that we have is to be able to talk to one another. When Joseph is first presented to us, right? He's hanging out with those four other brothers because apparently he can't really quite make the connection. And then finally, what does he use his speech for? He tattletales on his brothers. He says bad things. And what in the end happens? All speaking breaks down. They couldn't say hi to him. They couldn't even talk. So the beginning of Joseph's story is a person who is all about himself, who's wrapped up in himself, and who doesn't understand that he's not connected to anybody else. And then the wrenching, the throwing him out by the brothers, which is the ultimate separation, ends up breaking to a certain extent, breaking through to him. And by the time he gets to down into Egypt, he shows, in growing ways that he has become a mensch. It's a Musa story. And then for the Zohar, it's a divine story. But it's a transformation for sure.
Thanks.
All right. So Joseph is the consummation of the body. Benjamin is not. Nevertheless, Benjamin completes the count, right? He completes the 12, and therefore he makes it possible for this body to have influence out into the rest of the world. So we continue now, the next paragraph. We're on page 380. But
didn't Jacob know that although Joseph had been born, the tribes were not yet completed? Why then didn't he wait until Benjamin was born so that they would be completed? Because Jacob acted in wisdom, aware of something. He thought, if all those tribes are completed here, then I know supernal perfection will rest upon them fittingly, which should not happen here, only in the Holy Land.
okay. So what's the Zohar saying here? So good, if Benjamin is the ultimate completion of the 12, and Jacob was waiting for this kind of completion to happen, so why didn't Jacob actually wait a little bit longer? And instead of waiting until Joseph was born, wait until Benjamin was born, right? The Zohar obviously assumes Jacob knows everything that's going to be happening here. He's going to know how the whole thing will unfold. So he's wise. So why didn't he wait? So the Zohar's answer is that he didn't want to wait. On the contrary, that's the whole point. He didn't want Benjamin to be born in Lavan's territory. He wanted Benjamin to be born in the land of Israel. So what about the rest of them? What about everybody else? Why didn't he come back to Israel before all his children were born? Why is it that Benjamin has to be born in the land of Israel and everybody else doesn't? Right? It wasn't necessary. That's the implications here, right? The Zohar is saying all of the other sons, that the job of Jacob was to become complete before he came back. This, if you remember, this is go back way back, about what, kind of dream he has and what kind of transformation he had to go through. So he needed actually to become complete with Joseph being born. He had to get married, and he had to have the children outside the land of Israel in order for him to be able to come back to the land of Israel. Remember that ultimately Jacob represents for the Zohar the loving mate of Shekhinah, which is the land of Israel. So he can't come back and be worthy of the Holy Land until he's a full person, until he's complete. So he has to have all of this other stuff happen to him. And Benjamin doesn't factor into this. On the contrary, Jacob, now that he is complete, he has a decision to make, which is very important. He now takes on, as Jacob, the idea that he cannot let Benjamin be born outside the Holy Land. He must make sure that Benjamin will be born in the Holy Land. So therefore, he has to go right away and get going, so that the birth will be in Israel. So what's the deal? Why do we think that Benjamin, of all of these sons and of all of these people, why does Benjamin need to be born in the Holy Land?
Does Benjamin represent Kol Yisrael?
So that he is the final number, yes, right? He makes the 12 happen, right? If it's without him, we're not yet the full 12. So yeah, so to that extent, he is, and that's his job, right? His job is to take all of this divine energy and live it without pretending to be divine. Right? All of the other ones are divine in some aspect or other, and he's not. He has to be the first, but also the exemplary human being who lives out this mission of Israel in this world. That means that he has to, coming back to Larry's question, he's not Shekhinah, but he has to bond with Shekhinah. That's what the job is of every single one of us, because we're not Shekhinah, because we are not part of the divine array. But we have to overcome our otherness and seek union with Shekhinah. That's why we say Shema. This whole section started with telling us how we have to pay attention when we say the Shema. What is that affirmation of the oneness of God? It's not just a theological statement. Oh, Judaism believes in one God. It's, I remember this is a little sad. What was it? Midnight Cowboy. Midnight Cowboy. That toward the end, there's this terrible misunderstanding because the girl says, "You're the one. You're the one." So and they think it's an accusation because of the terrible things that happened to her. But actually, what she was saying is, "You're the one I love. You're the only one for me. You are the one." So the Shema is us all about. Who said it? Was it AOC who said it? It's all about the Benjamins. It's all about we're all the Benjamins. We're all the children of Israel who are Nebuch. We're just plain children of Israel. And we are the ones seeking union with Shekhinah, seeking the oneness, seeking to become one with the big divine other. So in order to do that, says Jacob, if I let Benjamin be born out here, he won't stand a chance. He has to be born in the womb of his mother. Thank you. Okay, so he has to be born in the land of Israel. The land of Israel is Shekhinah. That'll make it possible for him to be united with Shekhinah. Now, there's if you want to look at the note, see 488.
If all these tribes are completed here, then Shekhinah will rest upon them here in Padan Aram, where her proper site is the land of Israel. See the statement attributed to Rabbi Elazar, son of Sadok in
Mechilta, Pischa 1.
thank you, is not revealed.
Shekhinah
Shekhinah is not revealed outside the land of Israel.
Right. So this is, of course, the whole problem about where is Shekhinah. Shekhinah accompanies that, but Shekhinah is not revealed. That's not her place. Her place is the land of Israel. The land of Israel is Shekhinah. So here the note is saying, so if Benjamin was over there, then the fullness of the children of Israel would be then completed, and Shekhinah would rest outside the land of Israel. I think that, and this is a traditional explanation, I think it's actually reversed, right? I think that that what I said a minute ago, to me, is more compelling. Shekhinah, we have to bring Benjamin to Shekhinah for him to be born. And of course, as I said before, there's a tragic consequence to that as well, because that's part of what it means to create this world of separation that we live in. All right, that'll be enough for tonight. And I want to wish everyone again of the rest of Hanukkah, let it be full of good, happy light. Okay, Zayg is into everybody.
Thank you.
Shkoach.
Ela tov. Shkoach.